Hello, welcome to Psychic Ish. My name is Lydia, and I'm here today because I have no one to talk to about this weird psychic shit that happens to me. So I need to vent it somewhere, and someone needs to listen or watch in this instant. I'm doing my first podcast episode on YouTube, so if you're watching, hello! I can't look at the camera yet because I'm too shy and too nervous, but hey, you'll look at me anyway. Today I'm going to be talking about some guilt that I have in being psychic and having spirits come through to me on a nightly basis, but not having people come through to me that are close to me or my loved ones when they pass. And what it's like for me to get those messages for people I don't even know, but not to be trusted or chosen to receive those messages as a family member. This is something that I've been wanting to talk about for a while. I haven't even planned it. I wasn't expecting to get emotional. So I don't know how it will go, but I'm just going to speak, as cringe as it sounds, from the heart. But first up, we have a story from Jackie.
So I have a story for you. Hopefully this doesn't go on too long, but basically in 2017 my sister passed away. Unfortunately she took her life, and I saw a psychic medium a few months after she passed, and the day of her ceremony my best friend at the time organised us all to write a message on these white balloons and let them go in the sky. And when I spoke with the psychic medium, she told me that she was being shown an image of a balloon outside a window, and my sister was showing her 3 words, and those 3 words said forever eternal love. I didn't know what this meant. I never wrote that on my balloon. So I asked my best friend, because I never asked her on the day what she had written on her balloon. I didn't think to ask her. So I sent her a message, and I didn't tell her that I was speaking with a psychic medium. I just said, hey, I'm just curious. What did you write on your balloon that day when we did the ceremony? And she said, forever eternal love. And I just was in so much shock, because my sister had obviously given me a sign that was not your normal butterfly or caterpillar or cliche thing when you wonder, is this them, is this not them, I'm not sure. Like, it was just something that was so significant and not something that anybody else, not even myself, knew until I asked my friend. And my friend isn't really that much of a believer in this sort of thing, so I said to her, you're never going to guess what, I am actually talking to a psychic medium to connect with my sister. And she told me that she could see a white balloon outside a window and 3 words, forever eternal love. And I think I can definitely say it may have convinced my friend a little bit more on her spiritual journey. I can't remember if I mentioned this one in my voicemail, but during that same reading she also said to me that she was also showing me like something red that had spilled on the floor, and it was like a inside family joke for ages. And there was like a huge fight about it, and she was saying like, you know, she's telling me she'll know what I mean when you say like the red, something red, like she's like, was it nail polish or hair dye or something red spilled on the floor? And I said, I know exactly what you're talking about. And it's just so crazy, because like once again, this is a thing that's only known within our family. You can't find it on Facebook or anywhere. And when she was 15, I dyed her hair bright red in the bathroom, and red hair dye went on the floor, up the walls, on the door, like we stained most of the bathroom. And I just remember Mum came in and there was this huge fight about it, and eventually like my sister and I laughed about it years after that. And yeah.
Thank you, Jackie. Oh no, I'm emotional again. Thank you, Jackie, so much for sharing your story. I'm very sorry for the loss of your sister, and you went on to tell me that you'd had multiple family members pass since, so I'm really sorry to hear that, and I hope they send you more weird signs, weird ass signs. I have to say, everybody, that I did ask Jackie who this medium was, because I was like, that's kind of my vibe. I'd love to go and see a medium that picks up on weird little memories and things like that, because I feel like that's sort of what's close to what I do, as opposed to, I don't know, getting information like dates and birthdays and names and stuff. So I'll keep you posted if I hear who this woman is, because I would love to go and see her. Next up, we have a tidbit from my partner Daniel. Oh geez, where do I start with this? So I have been wanting a kitten for quite a while. When we decided to move back to New Zealand, I stipulated that if we were to move back from Canada, when I didn't want to, that I could get a kitten. And my partner Daniel, he loves animals, but he wasn't really the driver behind this force. And it got to the stage where I was getting closer and closer to looking at kittens, and we went to the SPCA in Whanganui, which is a 3-hour drive away, to go and have a look at some of the kittens there. And there was one I fell in love with, but we were travelling to Queenstown that weekend, and I asked the SPCA if we could put her on hold, and they said no, so we couldn't get her. After that, I really went and researched the kind of cat that I would like, and I had my heart set on a British Shorthair. However, I read that British Longhairs shed less. I don't know if I believe that, but then I started researching British Longhairs, and I came across this breeder up in Northland. And when I showed the picture to Daniel, he just melted, and I knew. I was like, this is his soft spot. If I were to get any kitten, it's this one. I just have to push. So I just kept showing him her photo. And then when it came to the crunch, it was during Mercury retrograde. So the breeder was wanting me to sign a contract for this kitten. And I've heard you do not sign contracts during Mercury retrograde. So I was trying to push it out as long as I could, but then I think I kind of pissed the breeder off in the process, and I felt really bad for that. So I was just like, you know what, I'm going to ask for a sign. I'll ask for a sign from the universe if we meant to get this kitten. And I asked for a sign initially of a glowworm, and I asked for that to be sent to me within 24 hours. I did not receive the sign, or so I thought. I remember that I was researching kittens the next day, and I was looking at worms and these photos of worms. And I mean, there could have been some photos on there of a worm that was glowing, but there was nothing that came through to me that felt like a full-on sign in that sense. And so that night I took things a little bit further. I imagined in my mind's eye that I was talking to the kitten, like I used her photo as if I were to tune into a photo of someone's past loved one, or a ghost caught on camera, or a haunted house like I do on social media. I took her photo, imagined it in my mind's eye, and said to her, I was like, look, if you want me to be your parent, if you want to come live with us, you have to send me a sign of, and the first thing that came into my mind was Orlando Bloom. So I said, you have to send me a sign of Orlando Bloom within 24 hours, okay? Like, I made it really clear. I was like, if you want us to be your parents, send us a sign of Orlando Bloom. The next day, I'm on the bus into town, and I start listening to my favourite podcast, which is Shameless, and The first 10 minutes of their podcast, they are talking about Orlando Bloom. The first 10 minutes. And I was standing in this bus, because I don't like to sit, I get car sick. I was standing in this bus listening to it, tears in my eyes. I was texting Daniel. I was like, I'm getting this sign of Orlando Bloom. And he just goes, I don't know. I don't think Orlando Bloom is too obscure enough, or is obscure enough to count as a sign. And I was just like, what? He's not in the zeitgeist anymore. There's no one that talks about Orlando Bloom anymore. Maybe Katy Perry, because she's starting to date Justin Trudeau, but not Orlando Bloom. He's not being talked about. Anyway, he didn't believe me with that. And then later that day, there was some scandal that came up with Katy Perry or something. And so on my TikTok and on my Instagram, I had pictures of Orlando Bloom coming up, I think on Deuxmoi, or maybe Celebrity Gossip Lines. I don't know. Embarrassing that I'm into that stuff, but I am. So yeah, I presented all the facts to Daniel and he said, no, the sign isn't strong enough. And I said, okay, well, how about you ask for a sign? You come up with something random. And so he said, okay, I'll come up with an elephant. And I said, you want to come up with an elephant for a sign? Like that is going to be more obscure than Orlando Bloom. He goes, yeah. Anyway, we got the cat. Of course we got the cat. Orlando Bloom sent me my kitten. We probably should have called her Orlando. We didn't. But I just have to say, I don't know if it's just me, but I think Orlando Bloom is so much more obscure of a sign to receive than an elephant. I saw elephants the next day. He didn't, but I don't think his brain was caring enough to actually be on the lookout and be open to receiving signs. So yeah, we got her. I love her. I would have her down here, but she's still a kitten and she loves things that make noise. So I didn't trust her to be able to sit next to me for this, but maybe in future. That's kind of like my dream. I'm nervous now that the tidbit is over, that I have to talk about what I'm actually here to talk about today, and I'm already tearing up. There's a link to last episode. This is sort of where this whole feeling has started for me. And it is with Dan's family member that had passed away. This was in around about this time last year, actually. Wow. When we heard that he had passed, it hit us a lot. And I didn't want to say anything at the time, but I was just thinking, like, why didn't he come through to me? Like, why didn't he show me anything? Why didn't he say anything? And it was something I only kept, or I thought I only kept internally. And then we spoke with Dan's parents a lot over that time, and we always FaceTime. And about 2 to 3 weeks later, Dan's mum said, "Has he ever come through to you, Lyd?" And I know they'd been waiting to ask that for a while. I can tell. I could tell. And I had to say that he hadn't. And I really felt like I let them down. And I don't understand why. I don't understand why he wouldn't want to come through to me. I felt like we saw each other quite well. He was lovely to me. He got me, I think. I didn't spend much time with him in the grand scheme of things, but I feel like he got me. I always like when people can sort of sense my intelligence, and I feel like he saw it. Which is like if you peel back the layers of the ditziness and the woo-woo, you can see that there's that part of me, and I feel like he saw it. It's the part of me that I treasure most. Where are my tissues? God damn it. Where are my tissues? I don't have any. Don't watch, but I'm gonna have to wipe my nose with my sleeve. Oh, my mum will hate me for this. No, I'm gonna have to. I can't have a runny nose on this. Okay, I'll do it off screen. There we go. So after that happened, I started thinking. I didn't know when my granddad had passed. If you've listened to my podcast episodes up until today, you'll know that he's my favourite person on this world, and probably the person I've connected to deepest in this world. And I didn't see or hear anything the night before he passed away or while he passed away. My uncle did, but he doesn't really believe in this stuff, so I don't think I'd have permission to share his experience. And then we go to my nana, and it's interesting because my nana and her decline, I'd say, is actually what convinced my mum that what I do is just a little bit more intense than what she originally realized, or maybe she just understood how, I don't even know how to describe it. I don't want to say it because it's going to sound cocky, but how good I am, because I am good at what I do. And during the 2 weeks before my nana passed away, she wasn't really able to talk, and I tuned into her a few times and told my mum what she was feeling, what her fears were, what she was thinking about, and what was to come. And there were a few things in relation to the will and other aspects, just legal aspects, that did happen as she said. I don't know if I was able to get those messages so clearly just because she was, it's going to sound awful, but because she was in her way out. Maybe there's a space where her soul or mind was that made it easier for me to communicate. I don't know. But when she passed, I didn't see her or hear her the night before. I just woke up and I had a feeling to check my phone, and I picked it up off my bedside table. It was like 6 a.m, 7 a.m. And I had a text from my mum saying that she'd passed. I just wish she'd come through. I really wish she did. She's come through since in rainbows for all us girls, my sisters and for my mum. And for around about a month after she passed, I kept hearing her voice in my head. It was like I'd go to poach some eggs, or I'd go to wash my dishes, and it was like I could just hear her responding to everything I was doing and responding to my thoughts. And at the time I thought it was my imagination, until after some time I realized that her voice had stopped and it wasn't there anymore. And I realized it actually was her that whole time. And I had her so close, and I didn't even realize it. I couldn't hold on to it. And yeah, I don't know. I don't understand again why she could come through that strongly then, but not as she passed. And I also don't understand why I couldn't recognize it for what it was when she was in my head or when her voice was there. But I guess it's just, I think when my granddad passed, he was always so afraid of coming through to me because he didn't want to scare me, because I hadn't developed any of this. And then with my nana, she came through really strongly, and she never believed in any of this sort of woo-woo stuff when she was alive, so I wasn't expecting her to come through, really. I don't even know if I'm making sense. But recently, maybe 3 weeks ago, I'd say, I was falling asleep, and I'd only shut my eyes for about 2 seconds. It wasn't long at all. And I saw an image of my uncle in my mind's eye, and he was in black and white, like it was almost like the reverse image of someone, or as if they'd been photocopied or Xeroxed. He was in my mind's eye and he was smiling so big, and he was in like a white tuxedo, and his hair, I mean, he kind of looked like one of the Beatles. His hair was in that kind of style, and he was just smiling. And he's been sick for a while. He's been really sick. And so I just thought to myself, I was like, wow, okay, this is it. And then I didn't tell anybody. I just sort of kept it to myself. And then at 11 the next morning, I got a text from my mum saying that my uncle wasn't doing very well. And I said, I'm not surprised. I mean, I was surprised he was still here. I thought he was passing. He'd had a really bad night and he was in hospital. And he's still here now. So I just don't understand, and I don't know if I just don't get it. Like, I don't get how I can see my uncle on a night that he'd had a really hard time, but now he's not better. He's in palliative care, but I don't understand. I really don't get it. I think when I saw him, I'll have to go back and check my text messages, but I think when I saw him, I also saw my granddad, so I think I was seeing them both together, but it just makes no sense. I don't understand how I can have people I don't know come through to me, show me how they passed, share such details about their lives, but when it comes to my own family and my own loved ones, I can't provide them with the love or help or support or whatever they need through having these kinds of abilities, because they're not coming through to me. And it's just hard to feel like I'm letting everyone down. It's like I can feel them thinking, well, she's a medium, wouldn't they come through to her? Wouldn't they be there? And I don't know what to say. I don't understand why. I don't know how spirits choose to come through to me, if they do even choose, or if they just are there. I don't know. As I'm saying this, I'm just hearing the words impartial in my brain. And I think when spirits come through to me who I don't know, maybe they choose me because I can be impartial. Maybe it's because it won't be too much for me to bear. Maybe it's a bit of a gift, because I don't know if I would be able to handle seeing my granddad or my nana passing away. But if my uncle could come through smiling, why can't they? I think he was happy in that moment, or maybe he passed briefly. I don't know. I don't think so. It's just a lot, and it's frustrating because I can't really talk about this to anyone, because if I were to talk to my family about it, there's that essence of letting them down, but there's also the essence of, well, you're not really a very good medium, are you? Like, why did you give up your day job if you can't even talk to the people that really matter to us? And it's like, my value decreases in that moment. I think I'm emotionally exhausted from this. I thought talking about it would give me some clarity, but I don't think it has. I think this has just been a space to get these feelings off my chest. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And for anyone watching, thank you for watching. I don't know if this YouTube video will be any good, but I'm really trying to move a lot of my content over there. I mean, most of you would have found me through social media anyway, and I'm really getting limited by the length of filming that I can do on TikTok or on Instagram. So I'm hoping to do lots more in-depth readings on YouTube, and I would love if you were able to go and follow me on there, even if you don't use YouTube. I mean, if I get 10,000 followers, I get monetized, and that would be the first kind of money I'd be making from any kind of content or podcast that I've put out for all this. So that would be a really beautiful way for you to support me if you could. And what would be even better is if you brought this video up and just had it playing on the background. I actually think Justin Bieber did that. Like when he had an album come out, he asked his followers or fans to just put the album on in the background wherever they were so that the streams would go up. So hey, I mean, I'm asking, but not really asking, but really asking. That would be great. Just for anything. Oh, and turn notifications on if you do choose to follow me on YouTube, because that way you'll get notified when I put a new video up there. But thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you guys. I'm sorry for crying at you. I'm gonna go give my kitten a really, really big hug. Hopefully her purring will heal me. Oh, that's what I meant to say. One of the whole reasons I wanted a kitten was because I'd learned that they are supposedly very spiritual and they cleanse your aura. And after the amount of readings I do and how heavy they can be, I just felt that I sort of needed that. And it's very cute. I've found just in the short week that I've had her, if she's with me when I'm doing a reading, she'll just sit next to me with her back to me. And then afterwards, like in the evening time, she will go and sit on my notes or on my paper of automatic writing that I had from my reading. I don't really know why she does that, but she goes and she sits on it. So I hope she's healing it in some way or cleansing the energy, or I don't know. Anyway, that's just my thoughts. But thank you for being here. I love you guys, and I'll see you all very soon. Best of luck getting to sleep tonight.